Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are y'all doing, everyone? I hope you all had a nice weekend, because let me tell you, it's been extremely eventful. Especially with what happened yesterday, or the day before that I recorded this, with the Super Bowl, and not only with the epic win of the Eagles, but also the even more epic halftime show with Kendrick Lamar. If you guys haven't seen it yet, then I highly recommend you go and do so. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Alan, for being today's new fish. But anyways, as I was talking about, considering that we did have the Super Bowl recently, that means that we also got a whole bunch of trailers, many of which will highlight what will be to come in 2025. And with all these trailers, I cannot go and talk about this alone. I need to have a guest star with me to go and actually discuss about many of the trailers that we have seen and which ones are we going to be the most hyped up for this coming year, or at least for this coming summer. And with this special guest star, this is someone that honestly I had in mind for a little bit. I knew he would be a great guest star, and now we're going to really put that to the test, considering that this is a personality that animation fans know very well. In fact, if you love cartoons, there is a very good chance that you follow him on social media, especially with his regular animation appreciation posts, whether it be discussing about what has happened behind the scenes of like some great works that has been done, some great moments in history, or just liking whatever animation project out there, whether they be TV shows or movies or what have you. And not to mention that he is also a YouTuber as well, who has done a lot of animation reviews and video essays, all related to animation. Again, you might know this person, and now we will actually hear him speak. So please welcome to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, everybody, Animated Antic. Antic, what's up?
Hello. I am very excited to be here. Oh man, this is quite crazy. I have been watching you for years now, and man, to be on your podcast. Wow, I am just so excited to be here, especially getting to talk about these trailers and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Man, I am very excited to be here. I am really, really excited to be here.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm excited as well. It's not every day that I would have a special guest star here, especially to go and check out what we will be discussing. But also, like, I am honored that you've been a longtime fan of mine, you know, like, definitely appreciate that. Also, I did forget to mention this before we started this. Like, you don't mind if I call you Antic, right? Or do you want me?
No, that's perfect, actually. Antic's actually my nickname. I just go by Antic. Yeah, it's perfect.
All right, fair enough. That's definitely great. So, considering that we have a lot of trailers to go and discuss, I would like to ask you, Antic, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast?
Oh, yes, I am very much ready.
Perfect. Now, Chadwell, it is your turn. Are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you prepared? Let's see now. Yes. Oh, people are ready. People are set. That is wonderful to go and see. And I do believe, with that said, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And for our first story, our first trailer, actually, that we are going to look upon, I think it is a safe bet to go and say, Antic, you're a SpongeBob fan, right?
Yeah, I could guess you can say that. I'm a casual fan. I watched it as a kid. It's fun. Yeah, I like SpongeBob.
All right. And probably you have caught up with a lot of the movies that have been released, like ever since like the first one and then like all the others that came out since.
Yeah, I've seen all of them. First two are pretty fun. The third one was mediocre, and Saving Bikini Bottom was, yeah, that.
Well, I do have a little bit of unfortunate news because the next movie that we're going to have is going to be a little bit of, yeah, that. Or at least in terms of the format that it shall be coming out, because it will be once again a Netflix SpongeBob spin-off film. But instead of focusing on Sandy Cheeks, we are going to be looking upon the villain of Bikini Bottom, or rather, the smallest resident. So without further ado, let us go on to our first trailer, as we're going to take a look at the upcoming Netflix movie, Plankton, the movie.
Welcome to Bikini Bottom at the bottom of the ocean.
Handsome gas.
And that is Plankton, the movie, to which the film is going to be coming out on March 7th on Netflix. So, Antic, I would love to know, what do you think about the trailer that we have just seen?
Well, I'm on two separate thoughts. For one, I do think there were some positives. I think it definitely looks much better than Saving Bikini Bottom, but the bar was like literally on the floor. I mean, that was rock bottom. No pun intended, but yeah, that was a real bad movie. And at the very least, this actually has a director who's worked in animation before, and he's worked with Nickelodeon. This is being directed by a guy named Dave Needham. And also Mr. Lawrence, the voice actor of Plankton, is writing the movie as well. So that's another big bonus, because if there's anyone that probably understands the Plankton character better, it's obviously the voice actor himself. And I do like what I've seen of the plot. I mean, it's kind of funny, just the idea of Karen getting so fed up with Plankton's constant failure of taking over the world and getting the Krabby Patty formula and just revolting. That's kind of funny. And it's definitely unique for a SpongeBob movie. So there's that, but there's things about it I'm just a little iffy on. One is that I'm not huge into the animation, personally speaking. It's not terrible. It definitely looks better than Saving Bikini Bottom, but it definitely looks off for some reason. I feel like the low budget CGI is holding back a lot of that slapstick, that fast-paced energy that I think that a lot of modern SpongeBob episodes really thrive on. And I think that if Nickelodeon really wanted to make a SpongeBob movie, they either had to give it a budget where the animation fits the wackiness, or the wackiness and the storyboards had to have been toned down, because you can't have your cake and eat it two ways. And it's weird because this is animated by Micros, and they've done a lot of low budget animated films that have looked great. They did Captain Underpants, Mutant Mayhem. They did Orion in the Dark last year. Those were great looking movies. And this is there's something about it that just looks off. The animation is not amazing. It's not terrible. Again, the visuals do not look as heinous as the stuff I saw in Saving Bikini Bottom, like that where they try to put Wanda Sykes' head onto that little kid, which that was baby geniuses bad. It's a mixed bag for sure. I'm gonna keep an open mind. It definitely looks better than Saving Bikini Bottom, but I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Also, considering that you did mention Mikros, I do believe that this is not their first time working on a SpongeBob movie, because they previously worked on, you could correct me if I'm wrong, they were also the ones who did Sponge on the Run, right? Like, they did the animation for that.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was them.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird that they decided to go and change their styles a little bit to something that has a little bit less texture than the previous film. So, or at least compared to the compared to what they have done before. So I don't know, like maybe it's more of a stylistic choice or stuff or something like that. But I definitely do agree with you in terms of the animation, where it doesn't look bad, and there's a lot of it that does recognizably look like SpongeBob, but it does feel like is something that that it doesn't feel like it has a strong quality compared to some of the CG that we have seen in either Sponge Out of Water or Sponge on the Run. That it feels like the animation quality is somewhere on par to what we have seen so far in an episode of Camp Coral, for example. There's just something about it that, you know, like it shouldn't be too bad. Like you could work within your limitations and it could work out. But yeah, like the comedy doesn't seem as effective, or it doesn't feel as strong. Like the most that I could recall that feels enjoyable is like a little bit at the end when SpongeBob is just going around and just wanting to go and touch everything. Like that's the only moment that I feel like, okay, that's actually cute. That's fun to see a little bit. But then like at the end, like, I don't know, the handsome gas thing is like, okay, no, that, you know, you kind of drop the ball on that. That feels like, okay, now you're just trying to, you know, capitalize on like the handsome Squidward meme, especially like when you have that exact same shape. So yeah, I do agree how the animation, you know, it doesn't feel like the strongest that we have seen from SpongeBob. Also, I will say, considering that, yes, we do have another SpongeBob spin-off Netflix movie, I'm definitely being extremely cautious, especially with what happened with the last one, with Saving Bikini Bottom. I actually do consider it to be one of the worst animated movies that's exclusively on Netflix. I put it right up there next to like even like compared to like Marmaduke or the America the Motion Picture. Like it is in that level of just terrible. And I get it.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, so from
movie.
Yeah, so from there, I feel like honestly, like I'm being cautious, but I am also like opening up to the possibility that maybe it could turn out better, especially with the fact that we didn't hear any strong negative reactions when it was leaked. You probably remember Antic, I believe it was back in August, in which like there was a bunch of Netflix animated projects that got leaked, but one of the most prominent ones and the ones that got frequently shared was a screening that's only meant for Netflix, but it was the entirety of Plankton the movie. And at the time, from what I recall, people weren't that upset with it. Like they weren't saying that it was an absolute disaster like the Sandy Cheeks movie. But then again, not many people were saying like, oh my God, it's a massive improvement. So you like chances are you haven't seen the that leak from a while back.
No, I try to avoid leaks. I just they damage the industry. I know people who work on these movies. I want to support their work, you know, and just make sure, you know, that this doesn't lose them their jobs. I have heard, you know, the things about Plankton the movie. People have said it's not great, but it's not terrible. Because I remember hearing about Saving Bikini Bottom when that got leaked back in February of last year. Like I had heard some rancid things about that, and I remember watching it in August. I was like, it can't be that bad, right? And I was just sitting there just speechless because just everything that could have gone wrong in that movie went wrong. And I think that the fact that this is being helmed by someone that works with animation before, again, this director has done work on animation. He directed the Loud House movie for Netflix, I think, and where Saving Bikini Bottom was directed by a woman named Liza Johnson, who was mainly known for live action stuff. She did a lot of dramatic material. She's done episodes of shows like Feud, A Series of Unfortunate Events, Last of Us, like a lot of like really, really uptight dramatic material. And based on the interviews I've read and seen of her, she just looked so uncomfortable working on this movie because she clearly had no idea how to work in animation. And I just think she was not the right person to handle something that's like this wacky and over the top like SpongeBob, because she has worked with comedy. She did episodes of Silicon Valley and Barry. but that's not like something that translates to we need to get her to do a SpongeBob movie where Bikini Bottom is kidnapped and Sandy and SpongeBob are going to Texas to get it back. Like, that was just such a bizarre choice. Whereas this director, it's like, okay, he's worked in animation before. He knows clearly how to work in this medium. I think he understands SpongeBob because he's worked with Nickelodeon before. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does make a lot more sense. So at least there is that positive aspect that, based on like the early word that people who decided to go and check out the leak, it's like what we may expect may not necessarily be the worst. But you know what is going to be interesting? I would like to know what you think, considering that this isn't just going to be a SpongeBob movie. This is apparently going to be a full-on musical. So do you think that will work out?
Maybe. I mean, SpongeBob has worked with musicals before. There was the Broadway show, and I mean, SpongeBob has helmed musicals before, and sometimes it's worked better than worse. I mean, there was that Atlanta Square Pantis episode, which that wasn't a great episode, honestly, but I could probably see it working because, again, SpongeBob does work with musicals. They've done it before. Again, it got a Broadway show, and it had a lot of, like, big musicians work on it, and it had some big stars starring in it, too. I mean, the actress who played Karen was Oscar-nominated actress Stephanie Hsu. So I can see that this would work in a musical format. I haven't seen anything musical related for this movie yet, so I don't know what it's going to be like, but I guess we'll see. I'm open because, again, SpongeBob has worked with musicals before. It could work. Who knows?
Yeah, same with me. Like, honestly, like, they do show a little bit of, like, some of the musical scenes. Like, we have, like, apparently there's going to be a rock number with Plankton over here. Like, we'll see how they could go. And I mean, like, there are a few moments, like, you can, like, if you have seen SpongeBob, then there's at least one song from the series that you'll remember. So it's like, yeah, a lot of the songs from the franchise has been hit and miss, but when they hit, they can definitely hit hard. And I mean, like, Sweet Victory is probably one of the most prominent examples of that one. But yeah, I would say overall, when it comes to Plankton the movie, I feel like from what we have seen with the trailer, I'm still going to be very cautious about it, and I am hoping that at the bare minimum that it will give me something that will be better than the Sandy Cheeks movie. But I am on the same page as you that I do feel like the that I feel like the concept is actually intriguing. It sounds like something that can work, especially to look more into the dynamic of Plankton and Karen, and especially to play up those characters to have their time to shine. Like, the concept is there. But in terms of the execution, I don't know if this will be something that will be amazing or will stand out as, like, the must-see animated movie of Netflix this year. But I guess ultimately we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is not the worst-looking movie that I think is going to come out on Netflix, because there's usually at least one dud that'll come out on Netflix every year. But I mean, but yeah, there's potential. I mean, it looks better than Saving Bikini Bottom. At the very least, I can see that they're doing more with Plankton than what Saving Bikini Bottom was trying to do with Sandy, because Sandy did not have an arc in that movie. I read interviews saying, oh, they're trying to set her up the idea of, wanting to be closer to her family, but the movie never shows this because it's so poorly written. But that's what you get when you hire one of the writers who wrote An American Werewolf in Paris to write it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy, it's just the assembly. It really went wrong there. But anyways, now it is time that we shall look into what the chat wall has to say about Plankton the movie. What do you all think about the trailer that we have seen? Were you impressed by what's going to happen with Plankton the movie? Are you guys going to stay away from it? I would love to know what you all think. All right, so let's see what the chat wall has to say now. I know people already seen the movie for various reasons, probably because the hacker who leaked it was upset on how the Sandy Cheeks movie did despite of the leaks. And yes, like with the Sandy Cheeks movie, I have not seen the leaks, but the animation does look kind of better than last time, still not the best. Let's just hope this is going to be better or worse than the Sandy Cheeks movie, especially that the voice of Plankton himself, Mr. Lawrence, is being involved with the project. Well, at least like more heavily involved, because like considering that Mr. Lawrence is also a veteran SpongeBob writer, so like yeah, not only does he know Plankton very much as a character, but like he knows the ins and outs of SpongeBob in general. Let's see now. I mean, at least it's better than saving Bikini Bottom. That's a low bar, I know, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. In spite of its poor animation, it at least has some unique concept with Karen. I wouldn't call it the highest of priorities, but at the same time, a viewing of it probably wouldn't hurt. Also, did you know the songs in this were done by Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords and the later Muppet movies? Make of that what you will. You know?
Ooh, I actually did not know that. I did not know that.
That is actually a positive sign right there. I really did enjoy the songs from the later Muppet movies, especially like I do find the soundtrack for Muppets Most Wanted to be very underrated. So hopefully he'll bring up something fun with this. Like at least like if not, you know, like if not good songs, then hopefully like we'll have some funny songs, because like the Flight of the Conchord guys know how to inject some humor into some music.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what else we got. So I was one of the ones who saw the film early via the leaks a few months back. And I got to say, despite the animation looking cheap, even for a Netflix film, and apparently a lot of other people who have seen it actually enjoy, and a lot of other people have actually enjoyed it. I'd even put it as my second favorite SpongeBob movie. And I think it also helps because it is written by Mr. Lawrence himself. I don't know, though, how everyone else will think of it when it officially releases, but for me, it's a fun time. All right, interesting. Let's see. Oh, and we got another one. I am actually one of those people who watched this movie back when it was leaked, and it honestly wasn't that bad. The movie itself does a decent job with showing Plankton and Karen's relationship, and the animation looks decent, and it's definitely better compared to the Sandy Cheeks movie. However, despite this doesn't change my feeling on the franchise nowadays, Nickelodeon milking it for all it's worth, franchise fatigue, and the oversaturation, and honestly, it's overstayed its welcome. Okay, let's see. The good news is that this looks better than Saving Bikini Bottom. The bad news is that this does look cheap as hell. I feel like these kinds of SpongeBob movies shouldn't be movies at all. I think they would fit fine as TV specials. I would be fine with that. Not as movies, but same here, Antic. I avoided the links at all costs, so yeah, sorry, Plankton. Actually, yeah, there's no sorry right here. And like, if you are gonna avoid it, I mean that's good on you, because it is true that with these links, like as tempting as they can be, they're also stuff that like it's best to just like avoid for the sake of the people who have worked on these projects. Let's see now. Well, there's actually a lot more people who has seen the movie than I thought here. Anyways, I have a confession to make. I am one of those people who actually saw the Plankton movie when it got leaked last year. Without saying too much due to spoilers, it's not a great movie, but I can confirm that it's a million times better than the Sandy Cheeks movie. Again, didn't got much to say, but I will say Netflix better be having a stronger security team after last year. Also, do you think a movie starring Pearl the Whale would work? A movie starring Pearl, what do you think?
Maybe. I mean, I think if you're gonna do a movie with Pearl, you probably would have to make it a father-daughter movie. Like, I would like to see them do a movie with Pearl and her relationship with Krabs, you know, because Krabs is a weird father towards Pearl at times. He's a good father sometimes, but sometimes his cheapskate, money-grubbing ways can get in the way of him being a good father to her, you know? So if you're going to do a movie with Pearl, I'd like to see like a teenage, like coming-of-age movie and maybe a relationship with between her and Krabs. Like, that would actually be kind of funny. I don't know.
Actually, you do bring up a good idea, like something with Mr. Krabs and Pearl. I was thinking like maybe we could have like a road trip style movie, you know, something similar to like a Goofy movie or The Mitchells versus the Machines. That could actually have some potential to like focus a lot more onto the character of Mr. Krabs and Pearl. I don't know. I'm just like spitballing ideas, but I could see something working, especially like just the idea to highlight the dynamic between Krabs and Pearl. You know, something like a little bit what we are seeing so far with Plankton the movie. I think that could have some potential there.
Yeah. Also, I just saw in the comments someone suggested maybe a SpongeBob version of Booksmart. That is actually hilarious. I love Booksmart. That would be kind of funny.
Oh, that would. Oh my God, I'd be down for that. All right, so with that said, though, yes, that is pretty much Plankton the movie, what we have just seen. And if you are intrigued to go and see the movie in its entirety instead of just the leaked version, then keep in mind that it will be coming out on Netflix on March 7th. All right, so now that we are done with that, now the next batch of trailers that we have, we're going to be looking into all the movies that coincidentally they're going to be coming out this summer. And one of them will actually be a return of a franchise that recently had a major trilogy, but now they're going to go into another shot into trying to make a reboot of it. Or should I say a rebirth? So stay tuned for that. And we are back. Now, for our next trailer that we have here, we're going to take a little bit of a break from some fully animated stuff, or technically with the Plankton movie, we did see a little bit of clips that there will be moments of live action. But in this case here, we're going to watch a movie or a trailer of a movie that has mostly live action with a bunch of CG creatures. Now, before we fully get into this, Antic, I would like to go and ask you, are you a fan of the Jurassic Park franchise?
Yeah, you can say that. I love the original movie, which was directed by Steven Spielberg. It is a great action adventure classic. I've only seen the first three movies. I have not seen any of the Jurassic World movies. And the reason why is just simply put, I heard a lot of bad things about them and I stayed away. My sister saw the first Jurassic World. She hated it. I took her word for it and I stayed away. Also, when it comes to the other two Jurassic Park sequels, Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, I know that Lost World is a bit divisive. I have friends who absolutely hate it. Some have said it's Steven Spielberg's worst movie. I personally think it's fine. I've never disliked it. Jurassic Park 3, on the other hand, I hate. I really, really hate that movie. It's awful. Terrible, terrible blockbuster. So, yeah, I guess you could say my feelings on the Jurassic Park franchise are a bit complicated. I love that first movie. Think the second movie's fine. Third movie, really, really bad. Haven't seen any of the other Jurassic World movies. I've heard bad things about them, and I've heard ridiculous things about Dominion and the fact that they have locusts, because that's what every sequel needs. Locusts, because someone clearly was a fan of Exorcist 2.
Yeah, who needs dinosaurs when you have bugs? Yeah, but honestly, I don't blame you though. I mean, like, of course, with Jurassic Park, the first movie, that is an absolute classic, and then the rest, well, it's all just aspiring to be like that first movie. But it looks like now we're gonna see another attempt of trying to be like the first Jurassic Park. Now, will this one work, though? Well, we're about to find out as we are about to check out the trailer for the upcoming summer blockbuster, Jurassic World Rebirth.
Dr. Henry Loomis, this is Zora Bennett.
And that is Jurassic World Rebirth, to which it will be coming out in theaters on July 2nd. Now, Antic, I would like to know what you think about what we have just seen here.
Okay, so when it comes to Jurassic World Rebirth, when Universal first announced that they were making another Jurassic Park movie, I really rolled my eyes. I was like, are you kidding me? Another one? Like, and I don't understand why they were making another one, because the Jurassic World movies, I mean, I know some people like the first movie, some people don't. I have not met a lot of people who like Fallen Kingdom or Dominion, though. I have heard those are really, really bad. And when they announced that they were making another one, I was really just like, oh, come on, give me a break. And then they announced Gareth Edwards was directing it. And that kind of got me intrigued. And also hearing that David Koepp, who wrote the first two movies with Spielberg directing, also got me interested. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually a little curious. I mean, it also just looks a lot better than the Jurassic World movies. And I mean visually, the Jurassic World movies have this weird blue filter they put over it to make it more blockbuster-esque. I really hate it when movies look like that. It just kind of sucks the color out of them, makes it more like wanting to be crisp-esque. It's just I just kind of want to see color in movies again, you know. And but I'm curious. Will I see this in theaters? I don't know for sure, because I'm not huge into going to see the new blockbuster anymore, but I will give it I'll give it this. It looks better and it has intriguingness to it. It has a good cast. Gareth Edwards, who's a great director. I really, really like Rogue One. I've heard really good things about the creator and his 2014 Godzilla. I haven't seen it yet. I do want to see those, though, and I've heard really, really good things about it from my friends. And yeah, this does look somewhat intriguing, and also just, you know, there's elements here that does look better than the previous Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World movies. Also, the fact that you got Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali leading it is another big bonus, because from what I've seen of the clips, I really, really did not like Chris Pratt or Bryce Dallas Howard's characters. They were really obnoxious. Nothing against them as actors. They're great actors. Just I blame Colin Trevorrow's writing, because he's not a great writer. And if anyone has seen the Book of Henry, you know.
I understand, man. And I'll just say that honestly, I'm one of I have seen the Jurassic World movies, and yeah, I'm not a fan of them. I'm actually one of the people that did not like Jurassic World. I mean, sure, like the modern concept of making this dinosaur theme park, like that was pretty cool. And maybe there might be a few action scenes with the dinosaurs that are fun to watch, but other than that, yeah, I really did not enjoy them as movies, especially when, like you said, the characters, including Chris Pratt's and Bryce Dallas Howard's characters, are just absolutely annoying. They're obnoxious. And they just become like worse and worse and worse as they progress. Like, they are not hiding the fact that they're just built to be cash-ins on the original Jurassic Park. Like, that's that it really, like, they're kind of like not shame, or how can I put this? They're like, they have no shame in terms of presenting themselves as like nostalgia bait for the classic Jurassic Park. And like, it just became more and more prominent as like those movies progressed. So yeah, like I think because of the Jurassic World movies, I am like very much put off by the whole franchise in general, because it just feels like every attempt they try to do is just desperately trying to recapture the magic of what the original did, but has never succeeded to do so. So I understand the feeling that you initially had when the idea of another Jurassic World movie, like, it just feels annoying. Or even if it is like a full-on reboot, like, we have not seen any of the characters from the from Jurassic World or even from the original. Like, none of them have really came back. Like, at the most that I could imagine, the most that we have seen that is related to Jurassic Park is just literally right at the beginning. Like, the only person or the only thing that did return is just the banner of like when dinosaurs ruled the earth. Like, that's pretty much the only thing that's recognizable from the original Jurassic Park. And that's it. Maybe the skeletons as well, but that could be debatable. So yeah, but when I did see this trailer, Honestly, I'm not fully sold yet. Like when you did mention that Gareth Edwards is the director, that did caught a little bit of my intrigue. Like like you, I really did enjoy Rogue One. But other than that, though, so far from what I've seen, it really does look like your typical action adventure movie, but now adding in the flavor of dinosaurs. You know, it's kind of like it's kind of like we're getting another Black Widow movie, but now it's mostly going to be dinosaur related, and we got to get rid of the mention of Marvel. Otherwise, people would be questioning, why is it that we're seeing Black Widow teaming up with Blade here, even though he has not officially fully appeared as Blade yet?
Or even if that Blade movie will even get off the ground, knowing how it's going.
I don't know. I mean, like, if anything, we'll consider it a movie from a completely different universe. This is where Black Widow decided to go and team up with Uncle Aaron to go and fight off a bunch of dinosaurs. Yeah, so,
Oh man.
so,
Yeah.
but for real, though, going back into it though, I just don't feel like this trailer in particular has fully sold me on the idea because, again, a lot of this just feels like the typical things that we have seen so much, not just from Jurassic World, but also from action movies as well. A lot of it just feels like the same thing. And again, as someone who has seen the Jurassic World movies and got really put off by them, this has yet to fully sell me on the idea of wanting to watch the movies. And yes, I do get it that, you know, there's a lot of great people that are also involved. Like we do, you know, like not just Gareth Edwards, but we also got actors such as Mahershala Ali, Scarlett Johansson, and I believe there's also one of the main guys. I forgot his name, but the one that's like concerned by joining Scarlett Johansson on this mission. Like this is the guy. He also showed up in. It's Jonathan Bailey. Yes,
Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah, Jonathan Bailey. Since he did recently appear in Wicked. Like, we got some talented actors here for sure. But to trust this as a movie that can, you know, deliver what people are looking for in terms of a solid feature that shows a lot of dinosaur action. Like, I don't know. Like, for me, I don't think I'll be watching this on the big screen. I think I'll be preoccupied with some other stuff at that time. Yeah. At the most, like, this is something that, at best, I'm going to wait until what the word of mouth has to say. What do people have to say about it? And if it really is worthwhile, or if it's just going to be, well, technically another addition to the Jurassic World franchise where it's just desperately trying to recapture the magic of the original, you know, just like another piece of nostalgia bait.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm not fully on board with this myself. I am intrigued because there's things about it that do intrigue me. I'm not fully sold myself. I don't know if I'll see this in theaters because, again, I'm not fully on board the Jurassic Park train anymore. I mean, again, I didn't see the World movies. I heard they were bad. The last one I saw was Jurassic Park 3, and I hated that movie. And yeah, just the fact that they're bringing it back, it feels like Universal's like, we want to keep making more of these. We want to get more money out of it. And I mean, the original movie, like the thing that really makes that original movie so special, the thing I always find myself returning to beyond the characters written by Crichton and Cap and performed by Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, Richard Attenborough, is Spielberg's direction, because Spielberg directed that movie so flawlessly. He commands every single set piece in that movie, and he keeps you on the edge of your seat. And you also combine that with the animatronics and the visual effects and the sound design by Gary Rydstrom. It's so good. And it's why I love Spielberg, because he is a commander at directing set pieces and sequences. And the thing about the franchises that have come from his wake is that usually when they put a new director helming a movie that he started, it's always never going to be on to his standards. And I think a big example of that, I mean, if we're talking about a franchise that was spawned from a Spielberg movie that had it worse than Jurassic Park, it was Jaws. Because Jaws was a franchise that never should have become a franchise, because you had the second film, which was, and then you had 3 and 4, which are horrendous movies of the 80s.
They were Sharknado before Sharknado at that point.
Michael Caine coming out onto the boat after jumping the water and he's completely dry. That's the level of incompetence that we're at for these movies. But when it comes to Rebirth, I'm not fully sold on it myself, but I'm mostly slightly intrigued because there are things it has going for it. It looks way better than Dominion and Fallen Kingdom, and I mean Gareth Edwards too. I'm hoping that with Edwards and Cap, they got more creative control because, I think that's probably the thing that might have held back the Jurassic World movies, alongside just the fact that Colin Trevorrow is just not a very good writer and director. Again, Book of Henry, but I'm not fully sold, but I am a little intrigued, but I totally can understand why you're like, I'm not too sure. I do agree. I do want to wait for the word of mouth before I go into it and think, I'm going to see it. I'm not going to see it day one, though, because I'm like, I need to be more convinced in order for me to see it.
Yeah, I think at best, I am open to the possibility that this could turn out to be good. But when you talked about the aspect of Steven Spielberg and how he made Jurassic Park such a wonderful movie, I think that's the big thing that I feel like it has been missing in all of like the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World films, or but basically all these movies except for the first film, something that they don't have. And that is the wonder. And I feel like that is an element that really made the first movie so great, is that, yes, there's a lot of action, but there's also that aspect of like wonder, that sense of amazement, the thing that like really enhances the immersion to get you into those movies in a way that you want to be a part of that world. But as the sequels come along, and then there's like all the Jurassic World movies, I don't feel, I felt like there's not a sense of wonder that they would go and bring in, or if they would try to bring in that sense of wonder, it always feels half-baked. They always feel artificial, and they always lean in a lot more onto the dinosaur action more so than the wonder of being in a place where dinosaurs come to life. And even in this trailer, I honestly feel like it really heavily leans in a lot on the action more so than it does on the sense of wonder. Like, this is just it's leaning in a lot on the, on the action, or that they want to make some kind of like epic movie like Indiana Jones out of it. But never once do we get a moment to like sit back and actually feel a true sense of wonder of being in a world where dinosaurs are alive. So that's why I have my massive doubts with Jurassic World Rebirth. And again, I am totally open to the idea that maybe this could turn out to be a pretty solid movie. Like, there is that possibility. They got some people who are involved in the film, like Gareth Edwards, Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, Mahershala Ali, and more, working on this picture, so there is a strong chance. But then again, honestly, for what I've been seeing, this just feels like another Jurassic Park cash grab. So honestly, I'm like, my doubts are really getting the best of me on this one. So I'm just going to be like, at best, a wait and see mood with this.
Yeah, and you do make a good point when it comes to the Spielberg and the wonder, because that's one thing that he does so brilliantly with his movies. He likes showing moments of humanity and just like little simple moments that go a long way in the long run. Like there's all that horror and suspense in Jaws, but my favorite moment is not like any of the shark attacks or the scene on the boat in the Indianapolis when Quinn is talking about, being on the previous ship and the shark attack. My favorite moment is the scene where Chief Brody is burnt out after the kid was killed and the mother slaps him in the face, and he's sitting at the dinner table just looking dejected, and then Spielberg pulls back the camera and you see his son at the dinner table, mimicking and copying his every action. And it's such a precious and genuine little moment, and it's such an honest moment of sweetness and wonder that really lightens the mood. And the thing that I love about it is that that was a moment that just happened by accident. Spielberg noticed the kid was copying Roy Scheider during takes, and he decided to put that moment in the movie just to lighten the mood. And it works so brilliantly. That's the thing I love about Spielberg. He likes to put in moments of wonder. Like, some critics think that he's over sentimental. I don't agree personally. I mean, he's one of my favorite filmmakers. And yeah, you do make a great point that from what we've seen of Rebirth, there is a lack of wonder based on that trailer. It's going very heavy on the action rather than, capturing the wonder. Because yeah, when I think back on the original Jurassic Park, I think of moments of wonder. The scene where they get to the park, they see the dinosaurs, or the scene where the kids and Sam Neill's character Alan is in the tree and they see the dinosaurs eating the leaves. That is just such an honest moment. Like, and that comes literally right after the T-Rex attack scene. And yeah, we'll see what happens with this. Like, again, I totally get why you're doubtful. I do have my doubts too. I'm a little bit more open than you are, but I'm not fully sold on this myself. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, I mean, I'm also speaking because, like, again, I've seen the Jurassic World movie, so I've been beaten down by those, while you were lucky enough to, like, avoid these. So I get that you can understand, you can experience this more like, oh, okay, we'll see what this Jurassic World has to offer. And I was like, I've seen things, man. You don't want to know what goes on there.
Oh, I know. My friends have seen one of my best friends. He saw it the day before I met up with him in person. He was just ranting to me about the locusts, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, locusts. Why locusts? What? What?
Who knows? James Earl Jones was available to just spit out a bunch. All right, so with that said, let's now go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, how do you feel about the trailer of Jurassic World Rebirth? Do you guys disagree with us and you guys are more excited about it? Or are you guys a little bit more hesitant like we are? Let me know what you all think. All right, let's see now. To say I wasn't a fan of Jurassic World trilogy would be me being nice. I dare say they are worse than the Star Wars sequels. There was so much potential to explore a modern world full of dinos, but it was wasted with each new entry. It's here where I say go watch the 2 Netflix animated series instead. Good stuff. So my expectations are low for Rebirth and feel like they are only making it to promote Epic Universe or Universal Studios because they made this movie in literally 1 year. No, I am not kidding. Well, I wouldn't say Epic Universe because, considering that Epic Universe doesn't have, like a Jurassic Park section. I don't know, like you could have a point, but I don't know, but we'll see. But I do get your sentiment of like, oh God, here we go again. Let's see now. Okay. I had no faith in this one after what Jurassic World Dominion presented by taking the Cars 2 route and making the big threat locust, ask Antic what that means. But with this one, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty intrigued. Not only are the visual effects fantastic, especially with how they're really getting creative with the dinosaurs, but I like how they're amping up the fear factor and the actors have some pretty good chemistry. I'm on board so far, but I'm still leaving room to be cautious. All right, so Antic, I would like to ask, what does he mean about the Cars 2 route?
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is a funny joke. So 2 years ago, I'm having a conversation with a group of my friends, and we were talking about Cars 2. And I indiscreetly was bringing up, how Cars 2 has nothing to do with Cars 3 or even the first movie. I said, Cars 2 is the Exorcist 2 of my franchise. And my buddy, I have a friend named Jeff, and he goes, oh, that's what Cars 2 was missing, a bunch of locusts. And I lost it. And the next thing you know, we ended up spawning this whole joke called The Locust Cut, where there was a hidden cut at Pixar of Cars 2 that was missing a bunch of locusts because much like Jurassic World Dominion and Exorcist 2, they just put in locusts into a sequel for no other reason and they have nothing to do with the predecessor. And because Cars 2 was this ridiculous spy movie, that was the one thing that we felt like it was missing was a bunch of locusts.
I would love to know, where did the locusts come from? Is it like, were they from Tokyo, where like, you know, when Mater was in the bathroom, instead of like water shooting out, it's just a bunch of locusts that's coming out like, ah! Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's see what other comments are there. I did see one. Okay, there we go. I'm left behind on the Jurassic franchise, but Gareth Edwards' involvement has me intrigued. He's a master with visual effects and can utilize his budget effectively to deliver great-looking blockbusters. Consider me curiously optimistic with this take on some awesome dinosaur action. All right, so we got some optimism going on. Let's see what else we have here. I really love Jurassic Park. I watched the movies and I read the book. And while I liked the first Jurassic World movie, I never really cared about its sequels. And seeing this trailer, it got me sick and tired of seeing Universal making more Jurassic World movies. However, with the director of Rogue One and the 2014 Godzilla movie got me curious. And if they were to reboot a Jurassic Park movie, why not make it a follow-up to the book and have it be in the tone, have the tone stay true to the book? You know, that does bring up a good point. I did hear about that before, especially with how the book of Jurassic Park is a lot darker than the Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah, I've heard that the book is really dark. I mean, from what I remember, Ian Malcolm initially died in the original book, and they revived him, and Crichton revived him for the sequel.
Ah, that makes sense. I was about to ask if you have read the book, but I guess that
I have not. I have not read the books. No.
All right, that is fair.
I do love Crichton, though.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty skeptical. Jurassic World was okay at best. Fallen Kingdom was ridiculous, and Dominion was just eh. At least the last movie gave us the reunion of the original characters, which unfortunately never happened in Star Wars, but understandably why though, but still locusts. Yeah, well, at least, to say the least, there's a lot of optimism, and mainly because there are no locusts in this one. So if you are intrigued in checking out Jurassic World Rebirth, then keep in mind that it will be coming out in theaters on July 2nd. So now we're going to go on to our next break, and when we do return, we're going to look into another animated trailer, but this time around, it looks like many people are already considering this to be a top contender for possibly the worst animated film of the year. Is that actually the case, though? Well, we're about to find out after this. All right, so now that we are back, it is now time to look into our next trailer. And I'd like to ask, Antic, you're familiar with the Smurfs, right?
Yes, I am familiar with them. I have seen the 80s Hanna-Barbera show. I've seen 3 of the 4 movies. I have not seen Smurfs and the Magic Flute. I'm probably going to see it in lead up to this new movie. I have seen the other 3 movies, though. Yeah, they're not great. The 2 Raja Gosnell movies are terrible. And then Smurfs Lost Village was just I thought it was mediocre. I gave it a 5. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I certainly didn't hate it, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I'll just say right now, not many people know this, but I kind of grew up with the Smurfs. Keep in mind that I am from a French-speaking region, so I did grow up watching the Hanna-Barbera Smurf cartoons, and also I did read some of the original Belgian comics as well. So yeah, like I have been familiar with the Smurfs for a very long time. In fact, like I knew about the Smurfs before I knew they were even called the Smurfs. So like, and considering I was raised French, like I knew them as les Schtroumpfs. So So yeah, like I'm definitely familiar with all the Smurfs, and I have seen like the movies as well. Like, yeah, the Raj Gosnell movies, I hate them so much. And Smurfs: The Lost Village, I'll probably need to rewatch that again. Honestly, like I didn't care for it much when it was released, but you know, I feel like maybe I should give it a second chance. But then we got this. We have an all-new attempt of the Smurfs, this time around, now from Paramount. Yes, considering that a while back, the Smurfs did move out of their home at Sony, and now they're going to be moving in with Paramount. They made themselves comfortable at Nickelodeon, but now this time, they're going to come in with an all-new movie. So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for the upcoming animated feature that is just simply called Smurfs.
Hey everyone, I'm Rihanna and I play Smurfette in the new Smurfs movie. And I
Or they'll lick everything.
Kiss, mwah, Cardi, Habibi.
So that was Smurfs, to which the movie shall be coming out on July 18th, and yes, in theaters. So Antic, I would like to ask you, what the fridge did we just watch?
A trailer straight out of 2007, I guess. I do not know. Wow. I just want to say this. When this movie was announced, I was a little curious. I mean, this movie's being directed by Chris Miller. He did the first Puss in Boots, which I liked. It's not as good as Last Wish, but it's still pretty good. So I was a little curious. And then they announced Rihanna was a part of this, and I instantly tuned out. Like, all expectations just gone. Just gone. And there's a reason why. I think people who watch me know this, but I hate it. And I mean it. I hate it whenever a big animated movie casts a pop star to voice a character, and usually in a major role, because whenever I see, I know there's a lot of debate over whether or not we should have celebrities voicing characters in animated movies. My take is this: as long as they're good and they fit the role, I'm not going to complain. And usually with pop stars, it's always they are miscast, and they always are terrible in it. And my go-to example for whenever an animated film casts a pop star in a movie is Rihanna's performance in Home, because she is horrendous in that movie. Like, she is so emotionless. She has no passion. She is underacting because she's like, it's all your fault. You stole my mom. It's like, the emotion is there. Like, can't you tell I have an emotional problem and I'm angry that my mother has been kidnapped by you, Boov? It's like, ugh, it's so bad. And then, like, keep that in mind. My expectations for this trailer were low, knowing that. And then I see this, and I was like, I have a confession. I actually did not see this thing intact in whole the first time. I actually had to pause it and take several breaks because this trailer is horrendous. It is horrendously bad, even by Paramount animation standards. This is appalling. This is appallingly bad. What the heck is this trailer? Like, what in the world is this trailer?
I understand, man. Like, you know, the funny thing is that I've heard when it came out, I've heard some people like they were bashing it, and one of the first things they said was that it was a complete Trolls ripoff. And yeah, there are a lot of signs that they really showed it, especially that opening. Like, it almost felt like it was a shot-for-shot remake, especially with all the dance numbers, with all the Smurfs and Smurfette and stuff like that. They feel like they ripped it off entirely from the original Trolls film. And I knew that with Rihanna, that she would be like this movie's Justin Timberlake, because they announced that not only was she the star of this movie as Smurfette, but she was also the music executive, that she is the one in charge of placing what songs are going to be featured throughout this movie, similar to Justin Timberlake's job with the Trolls movies. So from there, like, yeah, I expected that. And my God, like, not only was it a shot-for-shot remake, also, I just want to go and comment immediately that there's one thing that I absolutely despise. Where is it? Hold on a sec. Yeah, this freaking douche dick right over here. The influencer Smurf. Yeah, I'm as an influencer myself.
God.
I hate this. I hate this with every fiber of my being. Why are we still doing this in our
year of our Lord 2025?
In the year of the Lord 2025. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Why are we doing this? What the heck? I mean,
no, why do we need an influencer Smurf? Now I am scared for my life. If this is going to be the attitude, if we're going to keep hearing jokes like
Smash that subscribe button.
Like, if he's going to be doing that, like talking about likes and subscribe and like vlogging all the time about his stuff, like, honestly, no. Like, I am not going to stand for it. And
this is just so, how do you do, fellow kids, energy to me.
Oh,
just first time I
absolutely.
see this, I was like, good God, are you guys this desperate? I mean, literally the funniest thing that has come out of this character is I have seen this character getting roasted online and getting canceled. It is so funny. Like, I saw someone, I'm like, this was so funny. I was chatting with two of my friends before the Annies, and I was just scrolling through the quote tweets that people were putting on Blue Sky and social media and whatnot, and I see someone took the like a photo of an overhead shot of Smurf Village and basically made it look like the Not Like Us cover, saying that Kendrick Lamar is gonna completely roast influencer Smurf. It was the funniest thing I had ever seen.
No, you know what I want to see? I want to see people talk about how influencer Smurf is going to start off with, like, he's going to like launch his meme coins, and then suddenly he's gonna fall into the same kind of controversy as like Hawk Tour Girl. Like, I want to see that plot with influencer Smurf right there. Oh my God! Hey, at least if we could,
Good idea.
yeah, if we could get those kinds of materials, okay, I can see the point of it. But you know, the worst thing about it though is that this is how it started. What I did not expect is that somehow they decided, hey, you know what would be a great idea? Let's bring the Smurfs back into the live action world. This right here, I honestly feel like, okay, somewhere there is a massive loss in translation where they got the memo of, okay, our job is to remake the Smurfs. There must be someone who misinterpreted that and thought, okay, let's make a remake of the 2011 Smurf or the freaking 2013 Smurf, in which now they're in Paris again. Like, didn't we already go through that with the second Smurfs movie? Like, why do we have to go through this again?
Like, why are we doing it again? Yeah, I just, like, I don't understand. It's like, you know, there's the famous saying, those that don't learn from their mistakes are doomed to repeat them. And I was just sitting here watching this trailer, and I'm like, they're trying this again, and then you just, I mean, again, I am just baffled by this trailer. And again, this is coming from how I feel about Paramount Animation as a whole, because when it comes to like the animation studios right now, Paramount Animation has been really, really struggling lately.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've had hits. I love Mutant Mayhem, and I really liked Transformers 1, but even if Mutant Mayhem was technically not released under the Paramount Animation banner, but the other movies that came out from them, I was just not impressed by. I mean, you had Sherlock Gnomes, Wonder Park, Paws of Fury, and last year there was The Tiger's Apprentice. I mean, like, and those have a lot of executive meddling on it. I mean, I had heard a lot of meddling that went on behind the scenes with Tiger's Apprentice. I actually saw early animatics of it, and like the whole Flow Rida song that was in the opening, that was not in the original pitch, which did not surprise me. That was obviously an executive decision. And yeah, I'm watching this and I'm like, this is the most executive-driven madness I have seen in a long time. I mean, this thing has executive fingerprints all over it. And if anything, the thing that also baffles me about this movie is that, like, the idea of bringing back the Smurfs after Lost Village was not that big a hit just seems ridiculous. And also, it's following up on another movie franchise where audiences got tired of the IP, and that was Transformers 1. And again, I like that movie. That was a really good movie, but there were so many factors that played into it not being a hit, from the terrible trailers, the fact that it was coming out a week before Wild Robot, which that honestly baffles me. Paramount should have panicked when the Wild Robot teaser went up. And also just the fact that people were burnt out by the Transformers after the Michael Bay movies. And now you got this following up on Transformers 1, and it's continuing to show that whatever Brian Robbins was stating about IPs leading Paramount Animation, like, the plan is already backfiring. It's not working. And, like, you're making this, like, and you're putting it, like, the other thing is that this is coming out in July. It's coming out a month after Elio. It's coming out a month before Bad Guys 2. It's coming out the same month as superhero movies like Fantastic Four and Superman. I can't imagine this being a hit. This was supposed to come out this month, for the record. People forget that this was supposed to be released in February, and they delayed it to July. And I'm just genuinely baffled how Paramount thought that this was an approvable trailer, because it's genuinely a disaster. I mean, it's like everything about it does not work. It's not funny. They're repeating things about it that doesn't work. The animation looks really off. I mean, I like the designs of the Smurfs. They look exactly like the Peyo cartoons, but just the rendering looks really weird. And just the comedy is also really unfunny. Like, there's that one joke before the logo where Rihanna goes, "I think I just swallowed my gum." And I was like, what? What's the joke? Was she chewing gum before that? Like, what's so funny about that? And then there's Rihanna herself, which, again, why is she Smurfette? Like, again, she's not an actress. And it's not just Home. She was in Battleship. That was terrible. One of my friends saw a movie where she was in that was really good with Donald Glover, and he said she was terrible in that movie. Like, I do not understand why studios keep casting pop stars to play animated characters when they obviously can't act. Like, I just do not get this trailer. I don't get this. Like, again, my expectations were low, but oh, wow. I was not expecting this.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And honestly, it might sound like a massive exaggeration, but I'm going to be very honest. I feel like I'm getting Emoji Movie vibes from the Smurfs trailer. Like, I am getting that sense in which it is so executive, like, it was so meddled by executives that a lot of these decisions are made just to desperately try to make itself look cool and hip to the younger audiences. But it's just, everything just feels like it really falls apart. And not to mention how it's kind of baffling how it refuses to learn from the mistakes that Sony has made with those Smurfs movies, and yet they're going to try it again with them. And I feel like with a lot of these decisions, like bringing the Smurfs into the real world again, I feel like it really screws up with the animation, because so far, I will say, like, some of the animation, I get where they're going with it. Like, trying to make something that's a little bit more stylistic, especially to have it look more like how the Smurfs were in the original Peyo comics. That I do get it. And that I feel like there could be some great potential on how you can make a nice looking Smurfs movie that way. But then suddenly you bring them into the real world, and suddenly that style doesn't mesh well. There's something that feels very off about it, where it doesn't blend well with its environment. And even the style that they're trying to go for, it suddenly kind of like removes itself. It's like the style suddenly becomes gone, and now they look like just regular CG characters that feel like their rendering did not work as well as intended. There's just something that really looks like it's just broken. It just feels like it doesn't work as well as they intend to. And there's just so much of it that's just going on that it really doesn't work. And it just leaves me with more questions than answers. And I feel frustrated about everything. Like, I'm even pissed off about, why do we now have this random turtle that's joining everybody? Why do we need a turtle that's joining the Smurfs' adventures? Like, I don't know if you've seen it. Like, throughout the whole time, we've seen like this turtle that's...
Yeah, we see this like random turtle, and I do have a fair amount of Smurfs knowledge, because again, I saw the original Hanna-Barbera show growing up, so I know a fair bit about this franchise, and just seeing this random turtle, like, what are you doing here, Vern? Why are you in this and not Over the Hedge? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Archie, it's like, yeah, isn't that the turtle from like Over the Hedge or something? But no, it's like... Now we suddenly get this unexpected turtle. Maybe there might be something that is related to the comics that the turtle plays a bigger role. But so far, it's just, with everything that we have seen from this trailer, it makes me pissed off about everything, and honestly gives me no hope for what this movie will have in store. Now, granted, there is that slight possibility that maybe it's just a really terribly made trailer, and there could be parts of it that will turn out better than expected. Maybe it's just the trailer itself gave a bad representation of what the movie will actually be, and it could turn out to be good. But from what we have seen so far, absolutely not. It looks like it is a disaster. And I think even the fact that it is coming out in mid-July, amongst all the other major blockbuster movies that are going to be coming out, I feel like it could be a bit of an intentional decision, because like probably even the people at Paramount knew very well that this is just going to be a disaster. So maybe that release date is just to go and bury it instead of having people to actually go and see it. Like, okay, let's put it over here because people will probably be more preoccupied to talk about Superman and Fantastic Four instead of giving attention to Smurfs. Because if they do, they would know very well that a lot of it is going to be negative.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, even if Paramount did want nothing to do with this, like, I'm surprised they didn't just dump this on Paramount Plus, like what they did with Under the Boardwalk and Rumble and Tiger's Apprentice, you know, because they had no faith in those movies. Those were just shoved off onto them. Under the Boardwalk, quite unfairly, in my opinion. I didn't love that movie, but it wasn't bad by any means. Rumble and Tiger's Apprentice, I got though. Those were not good movies, but but yeah, this just baffles me. Like, I can't figure out who this is for, because is this for Smurfs fans? Because I'm talking to you and you're a massive Smurf fan. You're not on board with this. I'm not into this at all. And like, it's clearly trying to be trolls. Like, I feel like, is this Paramount just really frustrated that they dumped their deal with DreamWorks and DreamWorks just went out on their own and made the Trolls franchise? I don't know. And again, I don't love Trolls. I may make peace with it at least, because I the only one I don't really like is that first movie. I don't mind World Tour or Band Together. I actually kind of dug World Tour, but this though, this is really just a poor man's Trolls, and I just do not understand why they're doing this. And I remember you said that Rihanna's trying to be like what Rihanna for Smurf is like what Justin Timberlake was with Branch and the Trolls franchise. And I think that's a good point, but I think the counter argument I can make that is that at least Justin Timberlake can. I mean, I've seen him in The Social Network. He's fantastic. When you put him in the right role, he's really good. But then you have but then you have him like in but then you have Rihanna, and Rihanna is not an actress. She cannot act to save her life. Like, a lot of these pop stars are great on stage. I really like Rihanna as a singer. She's made a lot of great pop songs that I love and I will listen to, but actress, no. She's not an actress. And the idea of just, casting her as Smurfette, like, that's even more baffling. Like, casting her as Smurfette nowadays doesn't make any sense. Like, I get Katy Perry in the Gosnell movies, because Katy Perry was probably the biggest pop star alive at that moment. Teenage Dream was huge. And then Demi Lovato, I also get, in the very least, Lovato has a little bit of acting experience behind her. But Rihanna, I mean, she's a legend. She's a huge pop star, but I don't understand this casting choice. I really, really don't. And I just do not get this trailer. Also, just the pop song, like that slowed down version of Rihanna singing Brenda Carlisle's "Heaven Is a Place on Earth." I literally just caught that rewatching this trailer with you. Oh my god! Why? Just the DJ Khaled just. God, I hate this trailer. I hate it. I hate it.
Hey, I don't blame you, dude. But I think, honestly, if I could try to answer your question, if there is an audience that it wants to go for, it's most likely Rihanna fans. I think it's trying to be a movie that would appeal to them and try to make like a Rihanna version of Trolls. But now you put in the Smurfs filter, and hey, considering that the Smurfs is a popular IP, that gives them an excuse to go and put it out on the big screen instead of just throwing it onto Paramount Plus, where they would officially cave and just be like, oh, okay, well, we have no hope, so we'll just put it over here. So that is honestly my guess as to like what they're trying to do, who, and especially who they're doing this for, because yeah, like it's baffling to watch this trailer and to think like who would go and like think that this is a good idea? Who would want to actually go and watch this movie, like seeing this whole trailer and be like, oh yeah, this checks. Yeah, this definitely works. Because no, this is already heading towards like, this is already becoming like one of the worst animated features of the year. And honestly, maybe like I'll try to maintain like a little sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, it's just this trailer. Maybe it's just because this trailer is absolutely horrible and that maybe the movie will give out a better impression of what it could be and maybe it'll deliver some better jokes. But honestly, I highly doubt it, especially from what we have seen from the animation not really working great, from that desperate attempt of trying to look hip and cool, to the godforsaken influencer Smurf. Honestly, honestly, it's hard to find any hope that this could actually turn out to be good, or if it could turn out to be enjoyable.
My expectations for this thing are low. Maybe the trailer will be better. Maybe the movie will be better than what the trailer promised. I don't have high hopes. Like I don't think this is gonna pull a Transformers 1, because I was not impressed by the trailer of Transformers 1, and that movie ended up being really good. The trailers did that movie so dirty. This just looks exactly like the movie I think we're getting. And I don't know if there's like a little bit of like self-deprecation to it, maybe, but I doubt it. I feel like it's playing this all straight and serious, and it looks so desperate. It looks so desperate. And again, I just cannot see this sticking out in a vast competition of other animated fields coming out this summer, because you got Elio, which is the next Pixar movie, which is coming out a month before, a boy getting abducted by aliens who's excited to get abducted, and everyone there thinks he's like the supreme leader of Earth. Or you also have Bad Guys 2, which is following up on one of DreamWorks' best recent movies in history. You got the bad guys after they've gone good, and then a ruthless new criminal team blackmails them into pulling off one last heist. Like, it sounds much better than, oh, let's just put the Smurfs back in the real world again, because, it worked so well the first time, didn't it? With Neil Patrick Harris. And Sony product placement, and the second movie, which nearly ruined Jacob Tremblay's career before it got started. Did you know that was his debut before Room? And
James, seriously?
Yeah, he was the son of Neil Patrick Harris. He is really not good in that movie. And again, I blame that on Gosnell, because he's a great actor. I mean, I love Jacob Tremblay. He's one of our best child actors. And yeah, thank God Lenny Abramson saw him and put him in Room, because we probably wouldn't have got him in movies like Luca or My Father's Dragon or Orion in the Dark because of Smurfs 2. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah. But I just want to give you a heads up. So we don't have a lot of time right now, but don't worry. You people in the chat wall, you'll have a chance to go and talk. So we're just going to take a break so that we could have a bit of a reset onto the ad timer. And when we do come back, I will ask you all, what do you think of the Smurfs trailer?
Joke.
All right, so let's see here. I already had low expectations for the Smurfs movie going in, but I was not prepared for it to look this terrible. I'm not exaggerating when I saw it, when I say that it legitimately looks worse than the live action films. The trailer was so terrible that I couldn't get through it in one sitting. Yeah, much like with Antic, actually. All right, let's see. What the Smurf was that? This looks really awful. The animation looks cheap. The voice acting is terrible. The jokes are totally booty juice. And it wastes its really cool what is a Smurf concept. And yet, with how bad it is, it's kind of a must watch. I legitimately want to see how bad it'll go. But I gotta ask, why influencer Smurf? I mean, this dude just exposed, this dude was just exposed by Kendrick LaSmurf for smurfing minors. Like, trying to smurf a coin and it's probably a minor! Oh boy.
God.
Let's see here. Smurfs, we meet again. What's the damage this time? Oh God, what the hell is this? Influencer Smurf? Let's see, what else? I lost my place here. Live action world? Not this crap again. Also, the animation style is completely ripping off the Spider-Verse style, which is far looking far better than this. Yeah, Smurfs, go home. You're drunk. No, don't worry. They're not drunk. They just swallowed their gum. That seems to be all that it is.
They swallowed their gum and they signed a bad contract with the studio that probably shouldn't be working with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially Paramount in this stage. Yeah, I can see things falling apart.
Yeah.
Anyways, I can't believe it. This looks worse than the Sony movies. At least those had Neil Patrick Harris taking the piss out of the Smurfs to dull the pain. This feels like a Spider-Verse movie made by people who hate Spider-Verse. I never thought we'd see a poor man's DreamWorks Trolls, but apparently this is what cinema calls for now. Also, why the Smurf is influencer Smurf here? I thought we all canceled him because of what he said about Black Smurfs Matter. Oh my God. No, we're going to see more of those memes coming in about influencer Smurf. Oh boy.
Oh my God, that's brutal.
Okay, another Smurf. Here we go again. I was not into the franchise since childhood, but watching this trailer, I can see why Robot Chicken made fun of the Smurfs. I feel sorry and give respect to the artists and animators who worked on the movie, now getting dislikes from the teaser trailer. But at least the female Smurf is better than the blue female attractive one from Avatar: The Way of Water. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess the design of Smurfette is not too bad. I mean, like we said, like the designs, they have great potential. That's probably the best thing that we have seen from the trailer. Everything else, however, no. Like, honestly, it would make me rather want to watch The Way of Water than that. Let's see. You want to know why the Smurfs are going back to the live action world? Because the live-action Smurfs movies are now old enough to be considered nostalgia. The kids from the early 2010s were so suckered in by those movies, would be teenagers or in their early 20s by now. Maybe it's a stretch, but I feel like that's what Paramount is trying to do. Paramount, please, just calm down. Everything the kids who grew up with the 2011 Smurfs movie and liked it, no, they know that it's not good. Yeah, I don't. That is an interesting theory, but I think honestly there could be. I think there might be just again a loss in translation where the people who worked on it, they're not as familiar with the actual Smurfs, like the Belgian comics by Peyo. Like they really do think like the original Smurfs that started it all was actually the Sony Pictures movie. Like that could be the case. At least that's the impression I'm getting from this.
Yeah, and you know, in this day and age, like in a post-Paddington age, you really have to do more with your IPs, you know? Just Just like, and again, you look at what Paramount did with the Ninja Turtles and the Transformers. Like, they really did a great job, like, reinvigorating him and doing something interesting with it. But with this, it's like, oh, we're going back to 2011 and putting it in the real world.
Yes, because we so enjoy like characters that suddenly come to the real world and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe Paramount is still on their massive high on like the wins that they have been getting with the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. They'll like they check on those they check those movies. They see how the formula is going with them, and they're like, hey, it still works. Let's try that with the Smurfs right now and see what happens.
Yeah, but at least with Sonic, you had Jeff Fowler behind it, and at least he's a fan of Sonic. Like, he understands it. He works at Blur Studios, and Blur did a lot of stuff for the Sonic games. Like, like Chris Miller, though, I don't know how much knowledge Miller has on the Smurfs, because I don't really have a read on him as a filmmaker, because, again, he's only directed 2 movies. One was Shrek the Third, which is not good, and the other was Puss in Boots, which is good. Not great, but good. So it's really hard for me to judge what his skills and assets are as a director, or what, why he was chosen to do this Smurfs movie. I did hear he was initially going to try to do Larkins at DreamWorks before that was scrapped, and then he moved on to do this. So, it's going to be really weird to see what he's going to bring to this franchise. Like, at least Kelly Asbury, I could tell with Lost Village, he understood Peyo's comics and was trying to do something with it and trying to be respectful. It might not have fully worked in the end, but I do respect that movie more in hindsight after seeing this trailer, because I could tell that Sony and Asbury were trying with that movie, whereas this, it's like, let's just make another Trolls movie because the Trolls movies are so successful, we can copy that, because you don't, and as it's been proven before, you do not learn anything by cheating off of others. I'm just saying, you can take influence, but you can't copy.
That's not a way to get that Trolls money. I'm just saying, or even that Rihanna money.
I can't even imagine the Navy will be interested in this. Rihanna Navy.
Oh, yes. Anyways, this trailer was nothing but pure cringe. And this honestly looked like it could be just as bad as the live action movies. The pop culture references are awful. And the moment they entered the real world, I was done. Especially with it looking like a Trolls ripoff. Not to mention the release date in July, it's screwed. Seriously, say what you will about the Lost Village, at least they tried to stay true to the source material. Also, and this is something we haven't brought up, James Corden is in this too, which adds extra reason to hate. Goody. Why are we bringing back James Corden? I thought we all agreed as a society to not make James Corden a thing. I thought like we all agreed to leave him like back in London, to have him locked up in there. We didn't ask for him to come back into the pop culture zeitgeist. And suddenly coming in with frickin' Smurfs. Maybe that could be another reason why I was getting Emoji Movie vibes, because suddenly we got the stench of James Corden in this.
Corden is back. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, I hate Trolls band together, but at least they have the common sense of not bringing back James Corden. Why are the Smurfs doing this?
Why are the Smurfs doing it? I do not know.
Oh boy, I think I'm going to read one more comment before we go on to our next break. Let's see. Our expectations for you were low, but holy fridge. I honestly have no words just by how bad this movie is. Even the animation looks poorly done. The humor is also just utter garbage, and the voice acting... Oh, Rihanna, honey, please stick to singing. Also, influencer Smurf? What the fridge? Of course, yes, I'm still gonna watch it, but this is not a main priority for July, by the way. This is gonna be releasing between Superman and Fantastic Four, so this movie is screwed big time. So, yes, all this to say, I think we can all agree that we are not excited for this whatsoever. But for those of you who are morbidly curious, keep in mind that it will be coming out on July 18th. Now, we're going to go on to an actual break, and when we do come back, we're going to go and wash off that bad taste with one more trailer, one more that I have saved up here. And yes, it will be one of the Marvel trailers. Which one? Well, stay tuned for that. All right, we are back. So, now that we've finally settled ourselves, like the steam has been cooled down after that entire experience with the Smurfs, but now we're going to have one more trailer that we are going to watch. Now, I would like to ask you, Antic, do you follow the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Not anymore. I stopped watching after Endgame. That's where it peaked. I mean, I've seen Guardians 3. I love Guardians 3. And but the rest of the new Marvel movies that have come out just haven't really been catching my eye. I've been off the Marvel hype train for a while. I've moved on, you know. And but at the very least there is one that I am excited for. There is one which we'll get to, but yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know if this one counts, but have you seen at least Deadpool and Wolverine?
I actually haven't. No, I haven't.
Oh, you should. That one was fun. I mean, I don't follow the MCU, but I've seen that one. It was great.
Okay.
Yeah, so with that said, though, it looks like Marvel nowadays, like they have been aware that a lot of the recent stuff, especially with the oversaturation with the Disney Plus series, you know, it has been discouraging for many people from following the MCU nowadays. But now they're going to try again to see if they can recapture that magic, to see if they could bring interest back again, especially with this group in particular, that there have been several movies that they tried to make them great superhero flicks, but they failed to do so. But now people are hoping that maybe this could be the one. This could be the one superhero flick that can actually do justice to this group. So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the teaser trailer for the upcoming MCU movie, The Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Welcome to the Baxter Building.
And that is Fantastic Four: First Steps, to which the movie shall be coming out on July 25th. So, Antic, I would like to know your thoughts into this teaser trailer. What did you think?
I honestly loved it. I think this looks really, really good. Even though I've been off the MCU train for a while now, I am a sucker for this. I really love vintage 60s mid-century vibe. I mean, my whole YouTube channel is centered on film reel aesthetics and whatnot. I love 60s stuff and 50s and 70s. I just love retro. So obviously, a comic book movie that's going for a retro future look is really quite cool. And also just the fact that it's actually a very promising Fantastic Four movie, because the thing that has really bummed me out about the Fantastic Four is that they're a really dynamic and fun superhero team. You got Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. You got Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman. Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and The Thing. They're a really dynamic team, and they're like Marvel's basically first family. And every single movie that has come out before that with the Fantastic Four has not been good. Like, there was the Roger Corman movie, which was fun in its campy, silly way, but it was a little too campy. Then there was the Tim Story movies, the 2005 film, and Rise of the Silver Surfer, which were not good. There were great elements in it. I do love the makeup they did for The Thing. That was a really impressive practical costume. But like, the movies were really just like had the characters doing nothing, and it was just a complete waste, and there was not a lot of action. And then there was Fant Four Stick.
Yeah, that whole thing was a mess.
That is everything a superhero movie should not be. It's bottom 10 superhero movies ever made. Maybe bottom 5. It's about up there with, like, Catwoman, Howard the Duck, Batman and Robin. It is literally on those levels. So the bar was really low for a Fantastic Four movie, so it was low enough to clear for this new one because somehow Fan Four Stick tripped over the low bar set by the Tim Story movies. But yeah, this looks really good. I love how colorful it looks. This is being shot by a cinematographer named Jess Hall, and he's done a lot of good stuff. He's shot Hot Fuzz with Edgar Wright. And he also shot one of Garth Jennings' movies, Son of Rambo, before he moved on to do the Sing movies. And you also have, Matt Shankman, and this is Matt Shackman, doing this, and this looks pretty cool. And also the thing that really sticks out about this trailer, to me, is the score by Michael Giacchino. I love Giacchino. He's one of our best composers. I mean, he's made so many incredible scores. The scores he's done for Pixar, Incredibles, Ratatouille, Up, Inside Out. And then you have also his score for Zootopia. And then he's done a lot of other great movies too. Like I recently rewatched the J.J. Abrams movie Super 8 last night. And he did an incredible score for that movie as well. And yeah, this looks like a really, really good score where he is genuinely having a lot of fun. And he said it was going to be challenging because he wanted to do a score that was not similar to his score for The Incredibles, which was basically him doing a John Barry-esque score. And because, John Barry Brad Bird wanted Barry to do it because he wanted to have a James Bond score, and Barry just didn't want to do it. And then that's how we got Giacchino, because Giacchino was working on Alias.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this looks great. I just love it. I love the way that the characters are being portrayed. They feel very accurate and fun. I really, really like Eben Moss Bacharach's performance of the Thing. He's really fun. Pedro Pascal, again, really good as Mr. Fantastic. It just bold cast, and he is still on a roll. This looks really good. I am really, really impressed by this. I really, really am.
Yeah, I'll even say, as someone who doesn't really follow much of the MCU, even like before Endgame and stuff like that, I gotta say this really did caught my intrigue. And it looks like it can offer something very special, especially with the 1960s aesthetic. I feel like they really did nail it because there is a lot of it that reminds me a lot of the Jetsons. And I know that Hollywood had been trying that for like so many years, but so far, this feels like the closest that we've gotten so far to an actual remake of the Jetsons, at least in terms of the 1960s feel. Like it does, like it manages to capture perfectly that type of that retro futurism, that like the vision of the future that people expected back in the 1960s. And just like seeing the style that they presented, like it's that same sense like when I watched like when I would watch something like not just the Jetsons but also like the Incredibles, or even when you go to like the Magic Kingdom and you go and watch the Carousel of Progress. Like it has that distinct style that it came from a period where they think this is what the future would look like, and they managed to do so very well. And I mean, it's not just like with their home, but also with the robot. And I'm like, even when you look at the Thing's costume, like there's just so much of it that feels like they're not just making a Fantastic Four movie. They want to make something that pays respects to their origins, like staying true to the first comics. And like even the Thing himself, his style is very much reminiscent to how he looked like in the original comics. Like even with that giant unibrow, or like the giant brow that he has on his head, like a lot of it really does stay true. And not to mention how like even the like the design, like just the CG on this, it looks fantastic. Even like how the Thing is in general, it just looks great. And not to mention like even how this trailer in general is. Like this really is a teaser trailer because like, and that's something that I do appreciate, is that it doesn't actually show you everything. It doesn't go and reveal all of its secrets all at once. Like you get a little bit of a taste of their powers. Like you get a little bit of like Sue Storm's invisibility and Johnny's fire, like his fire powers. You get to see that, but you don't actually get to see Reed Richards stretching. Like, you don't see Reed Richards using his ability to go and stretch out or like use any of his powers. And not to mention even just a little hint of having Galactus as a villain. Like, we see a little bit of like the foreshadowing of showing how Galactus is like towering over New York City and stuff like that. So we do see a little bit of that as well. That's just coming out, like just a bit of a tease of how it's going to go. But yeah, honestly, with this teaser trailer, they do show the main things of what we want to see. And that is especially with the dynamic of the Fantastic Four, because I feel like more so than the action or the effects or anything like that, that's going to be the thing that will try to sell this entire movie. It's how the characters are with each other and their respective personalities. And so far from what we've been seeing, a lot of it is very promising, especially with the Thing showing a little bit of his fun side as well, because with the Thing in general, with the comics and even in the classic cartoons and stuff like that, this is a character that does have a lot of depth, where even though he does have like these superpowers and the super strength that he has gotten from all that, he also has his own personal insecurities. And that's one thing that I'm really excited to check out, especially like when you do see that scene in which like the, you know, when he's in his signature trench coat and he saw on television what he used to look like, you know, being all egotistical, like, yeah, you know, I'm the one who's like the best looking guy right over here. And then suddenly he sees himself as like the Thing, like being completely made of rocks and stuff like that. So that I'm going to be very curious to see how he's going to go in this feature. So overall, I will say that I think out of all the trailers that we have seen here, this is the one that, in my opinion, I believe it is the best one. It manages to do the job to sell the movie, to not show everything, but to present the main aspects of what we are about to see and get a little bit of a taste of it and actually get us excited. So I think out of all of them, yeah, I am absolutely the most hyped up for the Fantastic Four first steps.
Absolutely. I am completely in agreement with you. I love this trailer. This is easily the best new trailer that's come out in a while. And yeah, I really like what you were saying about the Thing. And the Thing is probably my favorite of the Fantastic Four, because yeah, he has his insecurities, but he also has the big heart. Like both literally and also metaphorically, because he's the one that really cares the most about this group. And the thing I love about the Fantastic Four is just the bond they have together and, you know, the family dynamic. And you really see that in this trailer, which is something that absolutely was not present in Fantastic. None of the characters were barely on screen, and everyone in that movie was miserable, which could be counted to the fact that that was just a miserable shoot to film in general. So I don't blame any of the actors for just looking so degraded and depressed on that movie. I mean, that movie was so bad. I am not exaggerating. Tommy Wiseau wanted to direct the sequel. Yes, Tommy Wiseau of The Room wanted to direct the sequel. That is how bad this movie was. I mean, when you get the guy that wants to do The Room to do a sequel, you know they've done something wrong. But even then, I can imagine that a Tommy Wiseau sequel to Fantastic would probably be better than Fantastic. But anyway, but yeah, getting back to this, I didn't really think of the Jetsons when watching this, but now that you bring it up, yeah, I really can see that. I love that retro futurism vibe, and the Jetsons definitely captures that, and also with the Carousel of Progress, and you know, you also bring up, you know, and you know, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow that Walt Disney himself was trying to do, because that is pure retro futurism and just trying to capture this glimpse into tomorrow that never really happened. And honestly, I just love the idea of retrofuturism in general. It's just this exciting idea that and it's just more exciting and more visually pleasing than the futures that are probably going to happen. You know, if I ever make movies, I'm always more interested in the past than I am the present and the future, because there's just so much history behind it. And when you look at retrofuturism, there's a lot of history it pulls from. And you can really see that in this new Fantastic Four movie, especially with the way that you see the Thing talking with Herbie as, Herbie's trying to prepare together a spaghetti dinner or something like that,
Yeah. Now, I do have one question that I would like to ask you, and this is considering its release date, because it's going to be out around, like, not directly on the same day, but it'll be out at the same time as Superman. So there's going to be those two highly anticipated reboots that are going to be coming out. I'm just wondering, in your opinion, how do you think it's going to go? And who do you think is going to come out on top at the box office?
I'm honestly not sure. It very likely could be possible that this could be another Barbenheimer situation, because that was a case where both of those movies were huge. Both of them were equally successful. And both of them, ended up turning massive profits, and they both became, Oscar-winning movies. And I don't think this. I think this. Both movies may likely end up going to the Oscars, not in Best Picture, obviously, but in the technical categories. It could be very likely possible that there could be another Barbenheimer situation. As far as which one will come out on top, Superman or Fantastic Four, I am honestly not sure, because I think both of them have an interesting amount of hype over them. They both look colorful. They both look fun. That's the one thing that I'm excited about for both of these movies. They just look fun. And man, and also they just feel interesting and more dynamic than previous attempts. I mean, Superman, obviously, I love the Richard Donner movies. That's my favorite version of Superman. But the last ones we got were the DCEU, which was a mess, and it just stumbled all over the place. And even though I like Henry Cavill, his portrayal of Superman was just wasn't great. And I blame that a lot more on the bad writing and just the direction. I am not a Zack Snyder fan, for those wondering, but I'm not sure which one is going to come out on top. I think it probably might likely be a Barbenheimer situation. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we will see. Like, even for me, I feel like I don't know which one will come out on top. I guess ultimately it will determine on which one will meet the hype, which one will meet those like major expectations. But you could also be right that it could be a case of Barbenheimer where both of them are going to win, and that both, like people are going to go and do like a double feature of both Fantastic Four and Superman. I feel like that could be a very strong possibility. All right, so, and with that said, by the way, I think now it is time that I want to go and pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the teaser trailer of Fantastic Four First Steps? Did you guys enjoy that? Are you guys excited for it? Or are you guys still iffy because of the current status of the MCU? And also, I want to do a major poll to go and ultimately round this out of all the trailers that we have seen. So I want to ask, which trailer is your favorite? And I'm going to write down, let's see. So for Plankton, then we'll ask, let's see. Well, I'll just go Jurassic World R. Just do that. Then we got Smurfs. I don't know if people will vote for that. And then finally, F for First Steps. All right, there we go. So let's see what people will say on that. And meanwhile, let's check on the chat wall what people have to say. Now, this is a trailer. The more I watch this, the more hopeful I am for this movie. I was skeptical on Matt Shakman being the director at first, but seeing what was shown, he was the best choice, and Michael Giacchino's theme is absolutely beautiful. This is probably my most anticipated summer movie next to Elio and Superman, and I'm hoping this will be a turning point to fully ignite that spark again, as what DC is hoping with Superman. Now I'm wondering if Walt's Epcot exists in this universe. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there would be some like little like like a little Easter egg that they would pull off, like with Brad Bird's Tomorrowland. Like there could be a little moment you would hear Reed Richards listening to "There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow," or like they're watching the TV and it's like Walt Disney presenting Epcot. I wouldn't be surprised if they would go and do that. Let's see now. What other comments are there? As someone who is a huge MCU fan, I was honestly blown away by this trailer. This actually has the potential to actually be a good Fantastic Four movie. I love the 60s aesthetics, the actors are spectacular, and I love how the Fantastic Four actually feels like a family. So overall, I am so hyped for this. Seriously, all it took was Disney buying Fox to get a good Fantastic Four movie. Yeah, the irony on that now, ain't it? Let's see now. The new Fantastic Four movie looks, well, fantastic. The effects looking amazing, particularly with the Thing. The retro 60s Jetsony vibe is pretty unique. Michael Giacchino's score is bumping, and the four leads really feel like a family. They have such a natural chemistry together. It's going to be a must-watch, like high priority. I know it's easy to compare it to Fan Four Stick, but at the same time, at least we could see what's going on in this one. It's true. Like, we commented on the color of it. We actually see color in this movie. Not like freaking Fan Four Stick.
The world is a carousel of color in this movie, all right?
Ah, yes. The wonderful world of color. Finally, in the world of Fantastic Four. All right. Forgive me to quote the AVGN on this. They did it! They made a Fantastic Four movie that's not actually, they made a fantastic... Well, they put in the $ instead of the I, so they made a Fantastic Four movie that's not It is not The only disappointment I have is Ben Grimm is still CGI and not makeup, but on the plus side, the design is comic accurate, and at least he's wearing a shirt, and as opposed to Fan Four Stick where he wore nothing. Oh my god, that is true. And
he was naked in that movie for some reason, which again, why?
Yeah,
that movie's just a big why.
Yeah, it's almost like what we just saw with Smurfs. And on a side note, by the way, I think it is almost unanimous based on the poll that I did here. Your favorite trailer that you voted for is, of course, the Fantastic Four First Steps, taking the majority of the votes with 86%, while a few of you have actually voted for either Plankton or Jurassic World Rebirth. Meanwhile, the Smurfs, on the other hand, well, I think it's safe to say nobody has voted for that. Can't imagine why. Now, let's see here. Didn't got too much to say on the fact, but I will say the teaser trailer is nothing more than fantastic. The visuals look so retro and colorful, the characters look great, and the Thing looks very comic accurate. Overall, I'm excited for that and Superman coming out in the same month. Step aside, Smurfs, we may be getting a superhero version of Barbenheimer. Unironically so, actually. I mean, like, I know a lot of people were trying to make the next Barbenheimer, but then again, it's just, it wasn't happening at all. And the best, like, honestly, the best that we got in terms like of another Barbenheimer is Moana 2 and Wicked. And even at that, when that came out, people weren't really making that a trend, but maybe they will with Fantastic Four and Superman.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think I'll read one more comment, and then we're going to move on to our final break. You have no idea how much I am excited for this. Everything about this so far is fantastic. Thing looks comic accurate. Johnny looking pretty chill. Sue is looking lovely, and Reed looking great as well. One of the biggest highlights for me was definitely the 1960s aesthetic style, which also looks modern at the same time. We all know Fantastic Four's first debut in the 1960s, and this is just very faithful and nostalgic as well. Can't wait. All right, so for all of you who are excited for Fantastic Four First Steps, keep in mind that it's going to be coming out on the big screen on July 25th. All right, so we got one more trailer that we're going to... Well, not one more trailer. We got one more break to get into, And when we do come back, we're actually going to step aside from trailers and we are going to be looking into animation's biggest night. So stay tuned for that one. And now, everyone, it is time that we shall go and conclude this episode off with the grand finale. And for this finale, we're going to go and step aside from all the trailers and whatever may be happening at the Super Bowl and stuff like that. And we're going to look into the night before the Super Bowl. And that is, of course, the Annie Awards. Now, Antic, you mentioned that you actually saw the Annie Awards live, right?
Yes, I do. I did. Every year I watch the Annies live. I have two best friends, and every year all three of us get together to watch the Annie Awards. And this was an interesting night. Obviously, we'll get into the winners in a bit because there's obviously a bunch of sweeps. And after one of the awards, I think it was Best Character Design for TV, we're watching it, and Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur wins. They finish giving the speech. A fire alarm goes off, and the stream gets completely interrupted, and everyone is just shocked. I'm sitting here with my two best friends, and we are all worried out of our mind that this is a real, genuine emergency, like a fire might have gone off because, what's been going on in LA, and also, they're honoring, what happened with the LA fires. And then I see someone shared from a Variety reporter who was there saying that it was just a false alarm. The fire alarm got tripped and they let everyone back in, and the night just went on as planned. It was a weird thing though, but because it was a bit scary when you just hear like a fire alarm go off and just everyone just say, what's been going on in LA and everything, and what has happened in LA is devastating. I've been to LA several times. It's one of my favorite cities, and just seeing it in ruins is really, really devastating. And yeah, it was a really scary and crazy event. That was not something I was expecting to happen at the Annies.
Yeah, like honestly, it's one of those things like you don't really want to joke now. It's like one of those things. It's like the fire alarm happened. It's like not too soon. Yeesh.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So at least like it did come out as a happy ending. At least things did go well, even though like the fire alarm, like it was pretty freaky. But hey, at least like nobody was injured. Nothing bad actually happened. It was just a stupid false alarm. So that did occur. Yes. But now, considering the ceremony has officially happened, it is now time that we go and take a look at the winners, or should I say the big winner, which no surprise turns out to be The Wild Robot, in which it managed to win 9 out of the 10 nominations that it got. And the reason why it didn't win the 10th one was because, well, in that one, it was also like it ended up losing to another nomination that it was in which The Wild Robot. So yes, that managed to win just about everything. So not only did it win for Best Animated Feature, but on top of that, it also won for Best Animated Effects, Best Character Animation, Best Character Design, Best Directing, Best Editing, Best Music, Best Production Design, and finally, Best Voice Acting for Lupita Nyong'o as Roz. Now, there are a couple of other winners at this year's Annies as well, in which Flo managed to win 2, in which it won for Best Writing, along with Best Independent Animated Feature. And also, we got one more extra winner in terms of movies, which is Despicable Me 4, in which that won for Best Storyboarding. And a buddy of mine actually informed me, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this actually makes it the first time ever that an Illumination movie actually won at the Annie Awards. Meanwhile, on the television side of things, the big winner in terms of the amount of Annies that it walked off with was actually Arcane, in which Arcane actually got 7 Annies this year, including outstanding achievement in animated effects, along with best character animation, best directing, best editing, best music, best production design, and best storyboarding. Other winners this year include Dream Productions, the Inside Out Disney Plus series, in which it won for best voice acting for Paula Pell's performance as, well, Paula, as well as best limited series as well. We also got Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, in which it won for best television production for children, along with best character design. We also got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that won for best character animation in a live action production, and Neva for best character animation in a video game, as well as other winners including Wander to Wonder winning for best short, Fuzzy Feeling winning best sponsored, The Tiny Chef Show winning best television production for preschoolers, Bob's Burgers winning for best mature audience television production, Adios for best student film, and also Orion and the Dark winning for best special production and best writing for a television production. So, Antic, considering that you have seen the Annies, how do you feel about the winners, especially with the Wild Robot getting a massive sweep?
Well, the Annies are very prone to do sweeps, and that's the thing that does frustrate me about ASIFA, is that usually when a movie sweeps the ceremony, it like once they start, they just never stop. And the thing that frustrates me about these clean sweeps is because, I feel like individual categories, I do feel like there are some movies that deserve it over others, even if I liked certain movies better. And when it comes to Wild Robot completely sweeping it, I am totally fine with it winning most of the awards, because in terms of my favorite animated movie of last year, Wild Robot was my absolute favorite. That movie is a masterpiece. I think it is one of the best films DreamWorks has made. I think it's probably the best movie Chris Sanders has ever directed. It is a really gorgeous film. It's exceptionally mature. It's beautiful to look at. I adored it. It is such an incredible movie. And most of the awards it won, I completely agree with. Some of the big ones I know that it won that I'm happy with. Production design, absolutely. Raymond Zyback and Richie Scaklong did a really beautiful job designing that movie. Zyback also designed the first 3 Kung Fu Panda movies, so obviously he has a lot of talent behind him. Music for Chris Bowers was a given. Bowers was also nominated for the Oscar. Director for Chris Sanders, absolutely. That is a beautifully directed movie. Sanders took everything that he learned from Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, and The Croods, and just put everything to the test here. And he really was revisiting themes that he was exploring in his previous movies. He actually, when he was making Lilo and Stitch, he actually wanted Stitch to crash land in a remote forest and learn humanity through animals. And Disney Animation's then president Thomas Schumacher encouraged him to make it with people instead. And Chris didn't actually realize that and remember that he did that for Wild Robot until after the movie was finished and Dean DeBlois pointed it out to them. He's like, you do realize that's really similar to what you were doing with Lilo and Stitch? And he was like, oh my, you're actually right. I completely forgot. And yeah, Chris Sanders winning directing was very well deserved, and he gave a very, very humbling speech, both for that and in the animated feature category, which rightful wins. I do agree. Character animation, yeah, I also agree, and effects. I think the only ones, and also voice acting too for Lupita Nyong'o, because yeah, also exceptional performance. I think there's some I probably would have given to others. I probably would have given writing, which went to Flow, to Inside Out 2, and character design that Wild Robot won, I would have given to Inside Out 2 personally. And the reason why I say that is just because Inside Out 2's designs, I'm thinking of like the emotions, like anxiety and envy and embarrassment. They have like these elaborate expressive character designs, and they're so like beautifully rendered in the movie. And I think that should have gotten a little bit of a shout out. And even though I love Flow and I thought that was an exceptionally written movie, I do feel like that movie ran out of steam in the third act. Like it peaks after one scene and then it just keeps going and just doesn't know where to wrap up. Inside Out 2 was just such a brilliantly written film, and it just hit me hard. Both that and Wild Robot were like the most emotionally impactful animated movies I saw last year. They hit me so hard. I mentioned this in my Wild Robot review. That movie made me feel like I was a little kid again, and I really adored it. And but yeah, I'm really happy with it winning Best Animated Feature. And also, I'm fine with Flow winning Independent as well, because that was great. My personal pick would have been Look Back. I adored that movie. That is a very impactful movie about two girls who are manga artists, and basically it's about, you know, what it means to be an artist. That is a fantastic film. But as far as the animated feature category nominations go, I liked both of the movies. I saw all the movies in both animated feature and the independent category, and I liked all of them personally. I didn't think there was any bad films picked. I mean, there were films I probably would have swapped out with other picks, like I liked Kung Fu Panda 4, but I probably would have put Transformers 1 in instead. And I would have probably swapped Chicken for Linda out with Sirocco and The Kingdom of Winds. But I thought that Wild Robot winning was well deserved, and I'm also happy with Flow winning. And as far as the TV stuff goes, obviously Arcane. I have not seen Arcane, so I can't comment on it, but I knew it was probably going to sweep because it was massive at the last time it was there. And but I was happy to see Dream Productions get a little something. I was happy Pixar did not go away empty-handed, because I think, like I said, I think that when it comes to ASIFA, one of the things they should fix on is just not allowing clean sweeps to happen, because sometimes I feel like the people who vote pick it just because it's their favorite movie of the year and not for the category itself. Because that's the thing I consider when I consider these categories. You know, I want to vote. When I'm looking at character design, I'm picking it based on what I think had the best looking character designs, not which movie was my favorite of the bunch that had good character designs, you know. And there's that. And then but yeah, there's also things I'm also the Arcane sweeping, and also Happy Dream Productions. I'm also really happy that Orion in the Dark got away with something, because I genuinely loved that movie. I loved it a lot. I think it's another fantastic movie from DreamWorks, and I thought it was excellently written by Charlie Kaufman, who won the writing award too. I don't have much to say about some of the other categories, like short subject and the preschool stuff. Because I haven't seen it, but I'm very happy for the winners. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes winning was pretty fun. The person that accepted the award, I think he was shocked, because I think he was expecting Better Man to win, the Robbie Williams movie. A lot of movies with monkeys getting nominated that year. It was the year of the monkey at the visual effects category at the ASIFA. But yeah. Also, I did not realize that when it came to the storyboarding category, that was the first time Illumination had won an award, and in this case for Despicable Me 4. The storyboarding category in general was not a great selection of movies. I'm shocked still that Wild Robot and Inside Out 2 didn't get into this category, because when I think of best storyboarding, I usually look at what was the best boarded scene of last year, and you're putting it alongside, and then you're nominating movies like Spellbound and Saving Bikini Bottom, which are not good movies at all. Saving Bikini Bottom, we already went about, was a disaster. I also really, really hated Spellbound. I thought that was a train wreck of a movie, like just a really horrible Disney knockoff, and another prime example on why the hiring of John Lasseter at Skydance Animation is a catastrophic decision, and it's still not working. But Despicable Me 4 was not what I would have gone with personally. It's not a great pick in my eyes, but I'm happy it won. I'm glad Illumination got away with something. It's nice to see that they finally were awarded an award, at least from ASIFA once, because I'm actually surprised they didn't win anything, because I thought they would have won for like the first two Despicable Me's, or even Sing. Because I really loved those movies. I also really loved Migration last year, but that only got one nomination for Terry Garr, the little girl who plays the duckling in that movie. And but yeah, overall, I think these wins were to be expected for Asifa. It was another clean sweep year. Yeah, I'm happy with some of these wins. Do I think Asifa needs to focus on making making it a little bit better? They're making their voting a little bit better, so another clean sweep doesn't happen again. Yeah, because I do think it should be a fair lineup. Like, this is not the first year in a row. This is the second year in a row where it was a clean sweep. Across the Spider-Verse won all the awards last year. I don't know if it should have won all, and I don't think it should have won every award it won last year, including especially feature, knowing the behind the scenes shenanigans. And this is coming from someone that adores Across the Spider-Verse. Mm-hmm. I really, really loved that movie. But yeah, as far as Wild Robot winning the bed category, I'm really happy with that because that was a phenomenal movie, brilliantly directed by Chris Sanders, excellent crafted by DreamWorks, and just a brilliant setup for what seems to be another promising franchise. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with the sequel, which is probably going to be called Wild Robot Escapes, because that's the name of the second book. Just overall to be expected, but I'm mostly satisfied. That's what I can say. I'm satisfied.
Honestly, may I just say, oh my God, thank you so much, because a lot of what you said, especially like your criticisms with the Annies, it's something that I've been trying to say for years. And honestly, it feels like something that people aren't really listening or understanding what I'm trying to say or point out, because this is what I feel like is a big issue with the Annie Awards, is the continuous sweeps that they've been doing again and again and again. And even though it's only been like a few years in a row that they've done it, even if you don't count the year where the big winner was Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, they were still doing more of those major sweeps, like year after year. And it's getting to the point where it feels a little bit ridiculous. Now,
it's getting frustrating, and this is the third time this decade they've done it, because they did it with Mitchell's, they did it with Cross, and they did it with Wild Robot. Yeah,
and by the way, I am not saying that the Wild Robot didn't deserve like the big win. It did. Like, I'm not saying it didn't deserve to be the big winner. Like, honestly, I am cool with a lot of the wins that it has received. Like, if it wants to go for Best Animated Feature, you know what? That's fine. I could see how it deserves it very well. And then there's also, like, honestly, I'm cool with it getting like Best Production Design, Best Directing, and Best Music. Like, those are understandable, and I think like the movie speaks for itself on why they deserve to win. But getting the grand majority, like literally 3/4 of all the movie categories, that is honestly ridiculous. There's a fine line between having a big winner and being so biased to the point that it feels suspicious, to the point that it feels like maybe they're repeating some of the controversies from like years ago. You know, it's like something like that. And not to mention the fact that, like, if you take flow out of the equation, all the winners in the movie categories are literally Universal movies. Like with the Wild Robot plus Despicable Me, it's like there's something in there where you feel like something just not right there.
And it's like it's really frustrating because, again, like you said, I'm glad. Nothing against the movies. This is not the movie's fault. I adored Wild Robot. Again, favorite animated movie of last year. It's one of the best of the decade so far. But yeah, like the problem is the sweeps, because I think it's unfair. I just think it's unfair to the competition because, you know, I feel like other films deserve just as much recognition and awards as, you know, the big winner. And I mean, 2024 was not a good year for major animated movies. It was very, very bad. There was a lot of disappointments last year that really underwhelmed me. It was a year of slim pickings, honestly, but even the slim pickings deserved a bit more recognition. Again, Inside Out 2 deserved something. That was a fantastic movie. I don't know if it would have won Best Feature over Wild Robot. Again, I'm fine with Wild Robot winning, but I just think that when it comes to certain categories, you know, you got to look at the movies individually and their specific categories, and not because we're picking it because it was my favorite, you know? Like, that's not why you should pick in a certain category unless it was the feature. If it's the feature category, then that's fair. But if you're voting for acting, vote for who you think was the best actor. If you're voting for production design, what was the best designed looking animated movie of last year, you know, like that's the thing that I think ASIFA really needs to consider, is that they need to limit the sweeps. I'm hoping for the 2026 ceremony next year that when they do more when they hand out the winners, they don't make it another sweep, because the sweeps are getting pretty exhausting. Again, it's not the filmmakers' fault. I have nothing against the filmmakers. It's because, you know, they're not the ones voting for the awards. It's just that ASIFA's membership and the way that it just feels very favoritistic at times. It's tiring. It's really tiring.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like when I see this happen at the Annie Awards, it feels less like a legitimate award ceremony specifically for animation, and it feels more like it's trying to cater exclusively to animation Twitter. You know, like it's desperately trying to make sure that animation Twitter feels good about themselves and feel good about their opinions, to embolden their entitlement of what they think animation should be and all that kind of stuff. It feels like they're trying, you know, it really feels like they're trying to lean in heavily more towards their biases instead of actually focusing on like who would be like the best of the best in the individual categories in animation. Like, yeah, The Wild Robot is a beautiful film, but are there certain aspects, but like, I don't think it's the kind that it did better in every way compared to the other great movies that we got, like with Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul, or Inside Out 2, or even some of the other movies as well. Like,
Memoir of a Snail deserved a lot of nominations too. It only got twice. That was a fantastic movie. Loved it. And it got huge cheers at the ceremony. Like, people were very happy it got a nomination, you know?
Yeah,
So.
and speaking of nominations, this is not even counting like some of the snubs that were there as well. Like, this is not even counting the snubs like with The Day the Earth Blew Up, like receiving no nominations, or even some that only got one minor one, like Transformers 1 or Piece by Piece, and yet none of them were for like the animation categories. So in that regard, honestly, I don't know what the setup is going on with like the nominations or the voting process, but there's something in there that I feel like really needs to change, because honestly, this is why I kind of feel very discouraged from like watching the Annie Awards or like, you know, discussing about the Annie Awards in general, because the way that they're running it with all the sweeps and stuff like that, it just like it's hard to really take them seriously. It's hard to really feel like they really do respect the medium, that they respect animation, when they have the same attitude as like the kind of animation fanboys that are like terminally online. You know, I completely agree with you. There needs to be some kind of system going on where they have to go and make a significant update so that they can prevent the sweeps. Have more, like, you can have like a big winner. I would be cool if the Wild Robot ended up winning like 5 or even 6 nominations. That is fine. But if you're going to go out of your way and like literally give them everything like you've done with the previous years, honestly, to me, that just means absolutely nothing. That winning a Razzie, you know, like a Razzie Award at that point feels like it kind of has like the same amount of merits as a Razzie Award. Not necessarily because of like the best or the worst or whatever. It's just the way that they're handling things. It doesn't feel legitimate. It doesn't feel like they're truly honoring what is considered like the best aspects in each of these animated projects. It's more so just trying to embolden fanboys and try to make them feel good about their personal opinions about whatever winner there is out there. Like, this is just for the sake of trying to please the Wild Robot fanboys who got really upset that it lost to Flo at the Golden Globes.
Yeah, and you know, when it comes to Flo winning at the Golden Globes, I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, like, to quote Cars, awards are just stupid cups, you know? They're trophies, you know? You just put them on the shelf and you ignore them, and then that's that, you know? And like in movies that win, you know, awards, sometimes they last through the test of time, and sometimes they don't. Like, you look at a lot of the Best Picture winners, some of them have held up, some of them have not. I mean, I think that, you know, when it comes to the Annies, again, you know, the sweeps, it's frustrating because, again, I don't know if it's like pleasing certain crowds as much as just a broken voting metric system, and just the fact that people there are voting just for what they think is their favorite rather than specific categories. Like, like the 2022 ceremony was pretty fair because Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio didn't clean up house. Like, Last Wish won something, Bad Guys won something, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On won something. That was a really, really fun ceremony to watch, and it was really nice to see, variety, just honoring all the animated films. Whereas here, it's like, once they start on the sweep, it just you're like, is it going to be like before they open up the Wild Robot envelope? Is like me and my friends were like going, is it Wild Robot? And then they said the Wild Robot. I'm like, yeah, there it is, just another win, and it is a little frustrating. Again, I'm fine with Wild Robot winning most of the awards this year because, again, I love that movie as much as it did. Should it have won everything? No, I think certain movies deserve some things. Like, I think Vengeance Most Foul could have gotten something. Yes. Inside Out 2 deserved something. Yeah, I loved Vengeance Most Foul a lot. That was great. And also seeing Nick and Merlin bring up Wallace and Gromit to the ceremony. They actually brought the puppets. The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes team was really funny when they won the award because they were handed the award by Nick and Merlin, and they were taking selfies with them and Wallace and Gromit. That was so cute. Oh my gosh.
I would have done the same, honestly.
I would have too. Yeah, I would have too.
Yeah, so overall with the Annies, clearly they still have a lot of problems. I'll even say that with the 2022 Annies, like when Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio won, honestly, like that gave me hope. And I was hoping, it was like, oh my God, they might have fixed the problem. Finally, the Annies like will no longer have this sweep thing. And then the following year, they did that again with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And I'm like, well, never mind then. But yeah, it really goes to show that honestly, this is an issue that, like we need the Annie Award. Like I hope ASIFA does realize that this is an issue, that hopefully they will listen and that they need to do something about it. Because honestly, as an animation fan, I just feel tired every year we see the Annie Awards go on, and then suddenly it's just one sweep after another. Because I've said this last year, but if this happened at any other award show, there would have been a serious scandal go on. Like this would have been a huge problem. But with the Annie Awards, the fact that they're still going in, that they're still doing all these kinds of sweeps, I feel like this is something that needs to be addressed. I feel like this is something that someone has to talk to ASIFA and talk about, hey, you need to do something about these sweeps because it's not making the Annies look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully next year we'll see what happens. I mean, we got a wide variety of movies coming out. We got Elio, Zootopia 2, Bad Guys 2, Wildwood, Cartoon Saloon's next movie, Julian, is probably going to come out this year, hopefully. So anything's possible.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, we're going to go on to one more break, but I know I said one more break before, but we're just going to have one to go and reset the ad alarm. But when we do come back, now I want to go and ask you all, what do you think about this year's Annie Awards? Do you agree with us in regards to the sweeps being a problem, or are you happy with some of the winners? Let me know what you think. Okay, so let's see what people have to say here. As someone who watched the ceremony Saturday, the ceremony was a mess. Sure, the presenters were fun and the special achievement wins were inspiring, but other than that, the fire alarm halfway created confusion, and the competitive wins felt like a slog, with the Wild Robot winning everything over Inside Out 2 and Wallace and Gromit. Not to mention that this is now the third year in a row where Disney and Pixar animated films won 0 Annies. As someone who adores the Wild Robot, ASIFA needs to get themselves together. Well, one thing that I will say, technically, Disney has been winning some Annies. They're just primarily in the TV and broadcast category. Like this year, Disney actually walked away with a fair amount. Like they got... they ended up with 4 in total for both Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and Dream Productions. It's just with the movie categories, yeah, that one is a major problem right there. Let's see. Oh, agreed wholeheartedly on the problem with the sweeps. That said, I think the Wild Robot earned everything in one, and I can't complain. Also, happy Despicable Me 4 won in storyboarding, if only for that one not going to the other questionable choices nominated there. Also, as someone whose most anticipated movie of this year is Elio, I was stoked to see Jonas Kibrib present it at the ceremonies.
Yeah, he was so cute. Like, he was talking with the girl who plays Moon Girl, and they had really funny banter because he was studying for a calculus test the night before.
I see.
Yeah.
That was
also
fun.
Hi, Jeff. Nice to see you. Shout out Elio again.
Hello, Jeff. All right. Plenty of well-deserved Annie wins this year. As a New Zealander, I give big congrats to my folks at Weta Effects for their 3 nominations, an eventual big win with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Well-deserved for the Kings of Mocap Primates. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, honestly, that's there are some that I am really happy about the wins, like especially for Orion in the Dark and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes as well. Like, I'm a big fan of those Planet of the Apes movies.
Same.
All right, let's see. Okay, positive first. You guys know me, I adore The Wild Robot, and I'm glad it won a lot of awards. But at the same time, yeah, the Annies are beating the bias allegations. Like, there was nothing that couldn't have gone to Inside Out 2 or Vengeance Most Foul. Hell, even if I did love Nyong'o's performance, the voice acting award practically belongs to Brian Tyree Henry. Also, did anyone have Fire Alarm on their Annie's bingo card? Because I sure didn't. Actually, I do want to comment on that because as a voice actor myself, personally, that is one category I don't really agree with in terms of the win. Like, yeah, Lupita Nyong'o's performance was great, but even in The Wild Robot, I personally preferred Kit Connor. But if I would give a win for the best voice acting, I'd personally go with either Maya Hawke as Anxiety or Brian Tyree Henry as D16. Like, both of them, they brought out some of the best performances I've heard in that year.
Absolutely. They owned those movies, especially Brian Tyree Henry as D16. He completely stole that movie. He was so good. I was genuinely shocked at how good his performance was in that movie. And yeah, Maya Hawke is just perfect casting as Anxiety. Just her voice is very panicky and rushed. She's like, oh my gosh, and it's like, that's perfect casting.
Oh yeah, wonderful performances there.
Absolutely.
For the winners this year, I do want to congratulate DreamWorks, Pixar, and the Flow team for winning the top categories. But I was lucky enough to do media press for the Annie Awards for the first time. I got to talk to the nominees at the red carpet, reunite with Fawn Vera Sunthorn, hopefully I said her name right, along with meeting Ryan Green, her husband, and after Jason Ritter and Kristen Shaw were presented, I got to meet them backstage, and we took a picture together. I do want to thank Asifa for the opportunity. Awesome. Hey, congrats on that chance, dude.
Yeah, Mini Gravity Falls reunion. Kristen Shaw was so funny that night. She's Mabel. She's like Mabel through and through.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, whenever Kristen Shaw does appear and it's just mostly being herself, like, you're in for a great time.
Yeah, she's just so much fun to watch. I love her.
All right. Honestly, some of these are really great wins. While The Wild Robot wasn't really the film to root for, although major congratulations to Chris Sanders and the crew for making the film, I'm still glad for some of the others, including Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, having 2 wins after binge watching it. Very well deserved. Despicable Me 4, great for them. Dream Productions, awesome job for Paula Pell. I hope more on Wallace and Gromit 2 or Inside Out 2. I'm still happy for all the choices. Congrats. All right. Let's see. Do we have more? Or I will say, huge congrats to the team of The Wild Robot for the multiple wins they got, including Best Animated Feature. I definitely agree that the Annies still got a bias problem with their stuff and need to get a reality check. The one that disappoints me the most is Has Been Hotel not winning anything, which sucks since the series is great. I hope some of Vivzy Pop fans don't grow a hissy fit over Arcane winning almost everything. Oh, that's another can of worms right there. I'm not really ready to get into. All right, I think I'll read one more and then we could cap this off. Honestly, the Annies have become more useless in recent years by the nominations and wins with the bias they have. Asifa needs to be fixed again. Voters need to think instead of looking into the title of the movie for what the category means. The Wild Robot did have a good weekend with not just the Annies, but also winning the Critics' Choice Awards and the Producers Guild Awards. Don't worry, Matt, Wallace and Gromit is guaranteed to win the BAFTA next weekend. Yeah, they did mention that, considering, like, for me, like, in terms of, like, all the movies that have been nominated for Best Animated Feature, like, my personal favorite is Wallace and Gromit. Like, Vengeance Most Foul is just amazing. I just love it so much.
So good. I love Vengeance Most Foul. Honestly, it's top tier Aardman. Easily one of their best movies. Love it, love it, love it.
Oh, yeah. And with that said, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. It's been a major episode, but what a wild ride it's been. And, Antic, thank you so much for joining me on this. Honestly, you really did spice up this episode. It's been a fun time.
Oh, thank you so much. I am really honored to be on here. This was so much fun getting to talk about all these trailers and also talk about the Annies. I had a total blast. I'm glad I could keep things interesting and spiced up with my conversations. I love talking about movies. I love talking about animation. It's just, it's so much fun. Just so much fun.
All right. So, by the way, if people haven't followed you yet on social media, where is it that they could go and find you?
I'm on YouTube. Follow me there. I review the new animated movies every time they come out. I am also available on Blue Sky. I'm more active on there than I am on the site known as Twitter, formerly known as Twitter. I am not calling it X. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on YouTube. I still am on Twitter. But, again, I'm not calling it X. Screw your X, muskrat. But, yeah.
Yes, understandably so. And as for some of my plugins, you could go and follow and subscribe to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast on the Animat Live Twitch channel or the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. And if you are listening to whatever podcast service you're listening to, then don't forget to go and follow me there, rather it be on Spotify, on Amazon, on Apple, or anything else like that. And with that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.